Hi Flosstube, I'm Michelle from Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and it is Wednesday, September 25th, 2019. It's been a while since my last Flosstube video because my daughter got married, and in the 10 days or so since the wedding, I had not picked up my stitching or my knitting and had nothing to show you. So day before yesterday, I did pick up Canner's Kitchen, and I got up early in the morning. I was stitching, I was making great progress. I was working on this jar here, and can you see the stitching with the orange and the green? I questioned the green, but the apples I'm doing, a lot of projects I'm working on right now have shading that doesn't make sense until you get it all stitched. So I checked and double checked that I had the symbol right and the pattern called for leaf green, and it said everything was right. And then after I was done stitching for the morning, I looked at the picture. There is no green in those peaches. There is nothing resembling green in those peaches. So I've got a charting error. It is a, let me see how old this magazine is. The magazine's from 1990, so I have a 30-year-old magazine with a charting error, and I am sure that this green should have been a shade of orange. Or, yes, the green should have been a shade of orange, and I don't know what shade of orange, and I am not... I know I can fix it. It's just figuring out a shade of orange that works with the other shades of oranges in the peach, and I'm making it harder than it is. I still have the socks. I hate these socks. These socks are jinxed. I have dropped stitches. I'm having problems with these socks that I shouldn't have. And if I was a smarter knitter, I would just give up. I've been working on these for a month and a half. Usually I get a pair of socks done in 2 weeks at the absolute most. They're bad socks. I don't know why. Sometimes a piece is just cursed. So I should probably just rip them out and give up, but at this point I only have 3 inches of cuff left. And I have been working on them for so long, I am too stubborn to let them go. I did start a new shawl last night, and the color variation is kind of subtle, so I don't think it's showing there on the camera. It is one of these... Karen Cakes is the brand. This is a Yarn Bee knockoff that I got at the Hobby Lobby clearance. And it's big chunks of color. So it'll make wide stripes on the shawl. And I am not explaining that well at all, but it's mindless knitting, and I am actually, unlike the socks, enjoying it. So I think this was the answer to my knitting problem. My mother has been thrifting again. I've been thrifting, but I haven't found things that were... I have found things that were neat enough to do thrift with me videos. I haven't found things that were neat enough to bring home. She found this. It's a kit. And it has the frame that is shaped like a dollhouse. And all of... Somebody opened it, but nobody started it. So I'm... Totally feeds into my dollhouse addiction. Totally makes me happy, and my heart go kitty pat, and I don't see the price on here anymore. I think she got it for $3 because Mom's thrifting is, she's charmed. She also found me this one, which I love the subject matter and the alphabet and the little girl. I am not 100% wild about the colors. I'm wondering, can I stitch this and then like tea dye it to mute it out a bit? If you know, please let me know. If I'm out of my mind, please let me know. And then she found this one, which is like old vintage kitchen labels, which I'm also really loving. And not stitching related, she got me Erin Knitting by Alice Starmore, and this is... I'm trying to find pictures I can show you without patterns next to them. They're the intricately, insanely cabled sweaters. I am not capable. If I slowed down and took it one stitch at a time, I am capable of knitting these cables. Whether I am capable of knitting these cables and having them come out to be the size that they need to be to make a sweater that fits the person I'm knitting the sweater for, and if I have the patience to knit an entire sweater, those are different things. So this is, I love it, and it is going into my shelf of things I could make someday if I wanted to, but I don't quite have the time to make now. Last night I did some stitching and I made bookmarks. I did this one. I stitched both of these last night and FFO'd them, and I did this one. And these are, the stitching is on a strip of Aida, and there are magnets so that when you fold it over, it clamps down over your page. And when it is clamped down, it will not fall out of your book. So I am loving these. I have some magnetic bookmarks that I bought from Hobby Lobby that are like sewing themed, and they're rubber and mass produced, and I got thinking I need more of them for me and the boys and everything. And I've got books full of little stitchy motifs that I haven't come up with what I would do with them if I stitched them. So last night I stitched them and I made bookmarks, and I love them, and I made a tutorial video so that you can make bookmarks, and that will be up sometime in the next couple of days. I've got it all uploaded and scheduled and ready to go. And oh, last thing, in my last video I talked about forgotten finishes and how I think that we should all share things that we did before we had Flosstube or before we had Instagram, or just that we haven't had a chance to show off for a while. And I'm going to show you I'm going to show you a glimpse of my favorite quilt. I will look and I will see if I can come up with a picture of the entire quilt laid flat and put it at the end here. The pattern came from an old 1980s quilting magazine. I cannot remember which one. It's called Grandma's Donuts, and I cut by hand 640 little wedges and pieced them into circles and turned the edges under and zigzagged them, and you can see that it is wonky. I singed my fingers pressing the edges under to get the curves. And then when I had all that done, I found a blue and yellow flannel sheet at the thrift store and quilted it on my machine. The binding was a dress that I got for 25 cents at the thrift store, which was just a nice little blue and white kind of calico. I don't know, I could not tell you from memory if the white fabric is muslin from Joann's or if it is old thrifted white sheets. It is very possible that everything in this but the thread and the batting came from estate sales and thrift stores. And it is my favorite. I love this quilt. Flannel backing is awesome. It's warm. So that is my forgotten finish for this time around. I thought I had more to talk about. I am kind of starting to get back into the swing of things after the wedding. My husband had some vacation time, so we've been just kind of hanging around the house, and we've cooked fancy things and gone on drives and had fun, and now I'm kind of trying to settle back into regular day-to-day life. So hopefully my next video will be the next Flosstube update won't be so far in the future, and it'll be a little less discombobulated. Thank you so much for watching. I am Michelle with Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and I'll have that bookmark tutorial for you in a day or two, and I will see you again with Flosstube update soon.